Okay, so today we're speaking with Bjorn Strid, founding member of Swedish melodic death metal masters Soilwork. How are you, Bjorn?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
Absolutely perfect. Soilwork's
Cool.
10th studio album came out in August, and it's done really well around the world, including here in Australia, where it's received the highest chart ratings of any of your albums. Do you think there's a particular reason why the album's doing so well across the planet, including in Australia?
Good question. I mean, it is to begin with a really good album. I would say. I'm really proud of it. I think people that like The Living Infinite definitely likes this one too. I mean, it's slightly darker and more melancholic, but it's definitely just as intense, if not more intense. And I think it has a really nice dynamic to it, and very eye-catching cover, and some really good songs, great melodies, and just a really interesting flow in the album overall.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that it was a lot darker. Is this because of the circumstances in which each one of you guys wrote it around?
I think it would have turned out pretty dark regardless, because I mean most of the songs were written, and all the lyrics were written pretty much as well. We entered the studio and all these tragic events took place during the actual recording. So I think it was more of a matter how it, affected our performances, on the album. I think you can really feel it. I mean, we knew it was going to be a darker album already compared to The Living Infinite, and the lyrics are already dealing with a lot of, existential questions, and especially the, kind of like the darker aspect of it. And so I think it's really you can really hear it on the album as well. And for example, when I recorded my vocals, it definitely affected me. How I approached it, and it felt so much more real because it happened so close to home, and it made you really think even more about these existential questions, and going from anger into acceptance and all these things that you go through. So I think that's definitely what you're hearing as well, and that's why people can probably relate to the album as well.
And for you personally, has the album become an extra special one, given what you went through while you were recording it?
Yeah, I mean the album is very special to me, and we thought it was going to be a pretty smooth recording compared to the Living Infinite, because that was a double album, and this was just going back to like a regular album again, so to speak. So we thought it was going to be easy, but in fact it was a lot harder, which is, I guess, understandable, with everything that happened. But sitting there, going through the recording and going through the mixing process was such a. Now that we've gone through all of that, I really want to make it a celebration instead, if that makes sense. Even though the album is very serious, I still want it to be, a party when we bring it to the stage. I always feel that, Soilwork always put on a rock show. It doesn't matter how serious the content is, and lyrically and everything, but we always,
Hello?
Sorry, I was cutting out a little bit. Yeah, that's why I play music. I mean, I want it to be a party and a celebration on stage. It doesn't matter how serious things are. I could never go on stage and just be so consumed about, my own lyrics, and it would have been pretty, boring in the end. I want it to be a different feeling live,
Absolutely. And speaking of playing live, you've had the chance to play throughout North America, and you'll be heading to Europe. Now that you've had a chance to play some of the new tracks live, how have they been received?
Really well, I would say. I mean, it's always the same situation when you exit the studio and you get the album mixed and everything, and then you listen, and then you think to yourself, like, how the hell am I going to be able to perform this live, and pull it off? But we always manage to do that, and I love that, the kick you get out of that. And we just came off a tour with Soulfly in North America, and since we were not the headline act, we were direct support to Soulfly. We chose to focus on the new album. So we had 45 minutes and we played 5 new songs because we really wanted to try it out. And I really love performing these songs live. And yeah, it's going to be very special coming to Australia and perform the songs as well. So I think they transitioned very well. Playing them live.
Absolutely, and now you've obviously had 10 albums come out now. Is it getting harder to put together a set list? Like, how many new tracks can we expect to hear when you get here, and sort of how you're going to mix them up with your older ones as well?
Well, I mean, since the new album is doing really well in Australia, I would love to perform at least 5, from the new album, and I think that would be really cool. I mean, it is hard to put together a set list. It's hard to make, everybody happy, but we certainly try. And 10 albums to choose from, and then we might have 1 hour 20-minute set, or 1 hour 1.5. So it's hard, but it's we try to have every sort of era represented in the set list, and usually I think we do a pretty good job at putting it together.
Absolutely. And before you head to Australia, you'll obviously be doing your European tour. You'll be in Paris on December 14. Does that event have any extra significance for you now, considering what happened on November 13?
I mean, it does. And I mean, I would lie if I said that I'm not scared whatsoever. I mean, I think we all are, very concerned about it. And I know that there's going to be really, a lot of security there, and there's going to be military police. So it's obviously going to be a pretty strange feeling. It's a pretty scary world we're living in, and especially now. It's terrorism has made its way into concert halls and venues as well, and that's obviously very close to home. So that's it's really scary. But I think the best way of dealing with it is really to continue, and put on shows, because it's really what they want. They want us to be scared, and they want us to back down, and not saying that you shouldn't be scared, because you have all the right in the world to be scared. It's very understandable, and so am I. But I don't know what else to do, in this, because if we start canceling now, what's going to happen later? How long is this going to go on? And then there's going to be another attack, and I don't know. I'm not going to let them, make me back down and doing what I love the most. So
I couldn't agree with you more, mate.
That's what I'm going to try to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just to finish off, is there any advice you could give to anyone out there who's aspiring to make it in a band? Well, I mean, it's different times, nowadays than when we got signed, and I guess we got signed when albums still, were selling a lot, and there was no social media, and I would say that kids today have way more knowledge than I do. I'm 37, but I just, it's really crazy how much kids know, how to promote themselves, and I think that labels are usually looking for bands that are pretty, already established, or at least very good at promoting themselves. They've done a bunch of shows, and they're really good with social media, and so it's a different musical climate today, and it's definitely harder. It's harder to get a good deal with a label, which is understandable. I mean, I understand that the labels are suffering as well, so it's not that. But I think one idea would be to maybe try to find a booking agent before anything else. Somebody who has some connections to promote you and get you shows, and so you can show that to the label that you have experience, live experience as well. Absolutely. Oh, thanks very much for your time today, Bjorn. I can't wait to see you in February next year when the band arrives for your Majestic tour. And good luck with the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, and thank you for calling. It's going to be a blast for sure when we come to Australia.